Okay, welcome back to the third and final installment of Reasons to Fight the Spanish-American War. Remember, our essential question was the Spanish-American War motivated more by realism or idealism? You're going to write these down, these last four in the appropriate column in your notebook in that T-chart. Remembering that realism is about self-interest for our country and idealism is about values and ideals and spreading democracy, liberty, and rights. Here's the T-chart, so you should be completed with this at the end of this little video. Okay, where we left off last time was talking about the Filipino fight for independence. That should be in your idealism column, because initially we were fighting against, part of the reason we were fighting against Spain is to help the Philippines get their independence, which is spreading democracy and liberty to others, and maybe not so much self-interest for us. All right, so new ones today is, the first one is the Great White Fleet. This is a nickname given to the United States Navy. In the last 25 years of the 1800s, the United States is going to start rebuilding or building up its Navy. We're going to move away from using wooden ships to using ships made out of steel that are much more powerful, much stronger. Just modernizing our Navy away from the old sailing vessels. One of the presidents, I don't remember which one of the presidents, however, will have all the ships being painted white so that it shows, clean and new and those kinds of things. And because of that, the nickname of the Navy will be the Great White Fleet. Why is it a motivation to fight against Spain in the Spanish-American War? It's because pretty much anytime you get a toy, you want to use it. Like if you got an iPhone 6 for Christmas this year, the first thing you want to do is pull it out of the box, turn it on, and start using it, texting your buddies that you got a new phone or whatever. Really no different with our Navy. Once you get it, you kind of want to use it. And actually what we'll do is we'll sail the Great White Fleet around the world on kind of what they call, in air quotes, a goodwill tour. But we want to show it off to other countries and kind of let them know how strong and how powerful the United States has become. And there's a good picture of part of the Great White Fleet. You can see they're modern for the time. They're impressive. They're white. Which is going to, again, lend itself to looking clean or new, that kinds of thing. You can see the political cartoon in the bottom right. That's, it says the nation's pride, and there's Uncle Sam, smiling proudly over the Great White Fleet, and it's really a source of pride. But the idea that using that in the Spanish-American War, it is realism, because the benefit is for us to show our might. Next up is our Navy's interest in Cuba and the Philippines. And really what we want is we want naval bases in these areas in both Cuba and the Philippines to protect our interests and to open new markets. Really, we're talking about protecting our shipping lanes and opening new markets. We have all these cool new things that we're building, that we're making in the United States. We want to sell them, and primarily we want to sell them into China, which is why the Philippines is going to be so attractive to us. So having naval bases there or coaling stations is really important. On the left-hand side, that picture is actually Guantanamo Bay about 1900. That's the naval station that we established on the island of Cuba as part of their constitution. We get that, and we still have it today, right? That's where we keep the prisoners from the War on Terror. On the right is a coaling station, a good diagram of a coaling station where we dump coal and ships can pull in and refuel for the journey to China. So naval interest in Cuba and the Philippines is definitely realism, because the benefit is for us. Next up is the USS Maine. One night, the USS Maine, which was sent to Havana Harbor by President McKinley, is sitting anchored in the harbor, and unexpectedly it explodes, and 266 sailors die. Our desire then, after that, is to avenge their loss. We want revenge for those who killed our sailors. Of course, the natural assumption is that Spain did it. There's going to be a little bit of an inquiry by the U.S. Navy. They're going to determine that it was either a mine in the water or a torpedo that explodes the Maine, and so we just assume that it was Spain that did this. In reality, we'll do a study later, and essentially what they've decided is the design of the ship was such that the magazine that held all of the bullets, all of those shells, all of that stuff was too close to the furnace. And essentially, it overheated, and we essentially blew up our own ship. But that doesn't matter. At the time of the explosion, we're pretty sure it's Spain. So getting revenge for our sailors is definitely realism, and there's a real famous painting of the explosion of the Maine on the left. On the right is an actual photograph of the wreckage of the Maine in Havana Harbor, it's pretty mangled. You can see the mast sticking up out of the water. And actually, that mast is at Arlington National Cemetery now, standing over a memorial to the sailors who died in the explosion of the Maine. Okay, the last reason that we'll go to war against Spain is something called the Delome Letter. And Delome was a Spanish diplomat who writes a letter. He's in Cuba, and he writes a letter back to Spain, kind of describing the relationship between the United States and Cuba and Spain. And in it, he starts to insult our beloved President McKinley, calls him a low politician, insults his intelligence, says he does nothing but pander to the low Americans. He doesn't really know what's going on. Well, this letter is intercepted, and it's going to be published in a New York paper. And once this letter is published to the American people, they're outraged. There's a good picture of Delome right there. He's maybe not quite as good a facial hair as Butcher Weiler had, maybe not as many medals, but he's a striking fella, I guess. There's a copy of his letter on the right-hand side. It's intercepted, it's translated, it's published, and it's insulting to President McKinley. And the fact that we go to war because of this letter, and that is one of the reasons, we're defending our president's honor. Therefore, it is realism. So that should complete your notes. And if you did this right, you should have 6 of them in the realism column, 6 of them in the idealism column. And that's what we'll really focus on as we get ready for the assessment coming up. If you have any questions, make sure you go back through the films, the videos, and watch them again. Double check your notes. Make sure you have everything in the right place, and you can always ask me in class. Thanks for watching.